Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to historic Gaston Hall and to our conference on Nostra Aetate at 60, Legacy and Challenges for Reconciliation and Interreligious Understanding. As John mentioned, my name is Tom Banchoff. I serve as Vice President for Global Engagement here at Georgetown, as well as Director of our Berkley Center for Religion, Peace, and World Affairs, a co-sponsor of this gathering. And on behalf of our entire university community and our interim president, Robert Groves, I want to express our warmest welcome as together we celebrate this momentous anniversary, explore the history of Jewish-Catholic relations and interfaith dialogue more broadly, and acknowledge the challenges we face as we look to the future together. We are especially grateful to American Jewish Committee and its Director of Interreligious Affairs, Rabbi Noam Marans, for partnering with us on this event. AJC is not only the most influential and vibrant organization of the Jewish community in the United States, you've also actively accompanied, supported, and shaped the developments we'll be exploring together today and tomorrow. We are allies in seeking to further improve Catholic-Jewish relations and to address the scourge of anti-Semitism in the United States and around the world. It was 60 years ago next month, on October 28, 1965, that the Second Vatican Council promulgated Nostra Aetate, a turning point in the Church's relationship with the Jewish people, as well as with Muslims and peoples of all faiths and wisdom traditions. The document begins, in our time. That is the English, of course, for the Latin, Nostra Aetate. In our time, when day by day humanity is being drawn closer together and the ties between different peoples are becoming stronger, the Church examines more closely her relationship to non-Christian religions, unquote. The main impetus for the document, published 2 decades after the Holocaust and the Second World War, was, of course, the imperative of a moral and theological reckoning with centuries of anti-Jewish prejudice and persecution. Nostra Aetate is a short and complex document, as we will see together today, especially today when we look at it in historical perspective. Short, complex, but includes some very clear language, and I'll just highlight one key phrase. The Church, mindful of the patrimony she shares with the Jews, and moved not by political reasons, but by the gospel's spiritual love, decries hatred, persecutions, and displays of anti-Semitism directed against Jews at any time and by anyone, unquote. The urgency of those words echoes today, six decades later. The first sentence of Nostra Aetate, which I shared, noted that back in 1965, it seemed as if ties between different peoples were becoming stronger. Today, I think you'll agree, things are moving in the opposite direction. Globalization is in crisis, and poisonous nationalisms and tribalisms are on the rise in the United States and around the world. In the Middle East, the Hamas massacre of October 7th, the seizure of hostages, the Israeli military response, and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza has sparked heated debate and contributed to the alarming rise in anti-Semitism we've seen in our country, including on our college campuses. As a Catholic and Jesuit university, the oldest in the United States, founded in 1789, the same year as our republic, Georgetown is firmly committed to interreligious dialogue, to Catholic-Jewish understanding and cooperation, and today, more than ever, to the battle against anti-Semitism in all its forms. And against, quoting Nostra Aetate's final paragraph, quote, any discrimination or harassment against men or women because of their race or color, condition in life, or religion, unquote. Just 3 years after Nostra Aetate was released in 1968, Georgetown hired a full-time rabbi, the first Catholic university to do so. Since 1988, our government department has welcomed a visiting Israeli professor each year. And starting in 2001, we began to build what is now the Center for Jewish Civilization in our School of Foreign Service. The center, known as the CJC, is a leader in research and teaching around issues including U.S.-Israeli relations, Holocaust and genocide studies, Jewish-Catholic relations, and Jewish culture. I want to thank CJC and the Department of Theology and Religious Studies for joining us and sponsoring our event today, and acknowledge my colleagues in the Berkley Center for their work in preparing this conference. I especially want to recognize my colleague, Dr. John Borelli, Special Assistant to Georgetown's President for Catholic Identity and Dialogue, for his leadership in organizing our event. Our gathering here and our partnership with AJC attest to Georgetown's ongoing commitment to interreligious dialogue and Catholic-Jewish cooperation for the common good. On behalf of our entire university community, I again want to thank you all for joining us. And now please join me in welcoming Rabbi Noam Marans, who will share a greeting on behalf of AJC.
Thank you, Tom. My father, Rabbi Arnold Marans, would sometimes listen to WINS radio in New York when he was driving me in the car. I remember both taking for granted and being proud when Rabbi Mark Tannenbaum or Sister Camille D'Arienzo would deliver one-minute religious reflections on that station. My father knew Rabbi Tannenbaum, my legendary predecessor as Director of Interreligious Affairs at American Jewish Committee, AJC, in the 1960s and 70s. They were both ordained at the Jewish Theological Seminary, JTS, in the early 1950s, where my wife, Rabbi Amy Roth, who is here today, and I would both be ordained a generation later, and I see a few other ordainees of that rabbinical school here with us today. By the time I was old enough to be aware we could take positive Catholic-Jewish relations as a given and be unsurprised that a rabbi and a nun could team up for this very public role. It was actually anything but a given. It was, rather, as one scholar called it, a Copernican revolution, in which 2 millennia of bad history in Christian-Jewish relations began to be righted by Nostra Aetate and the good initiatives which followed in its wake. We went from centuries of Christian fomenting of animus and violence directed at Jews to the beginning of a process that Nostra Aetate describes as follows: since the spiritual patrimony common to Christians and Jews is thus so great, this sacred synod wants to foster and recommend mutual understanding and respect. Rabbi Tannenbaum famously brought his JTS professor, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, into the process which became Nostra Aetate, introducing him to Cardinal Augustin Bea, who shepherded the birth of this conciliar declaration at the behest of Pope John the 23rd. It is an unending source of nachas, that's Jewish delight, for me, that my seminary, JTS, in the person of Rabbi Heschel, and my professional home, AJC, played critical Jewish roles in the Nostra Aetate evolution. When Rabbi Heschel, who had lost most of his family in the Shoah, the Holocaust, was asked why he became involved, he answered both simply and profoundly that it was a chance to save Jewish lives. He understood that if Christianity was to be portrayed as contributing toward an ignominious history of anti-Judaism and anti-Semitism, then Christianity needed to lead as the transforming agent which could change bad history to good history. We have gathered to both celebrate and evaluate Nostra Aetate 60 years on. Could two institutions be more appropriate as partners for this endeavor than Georgetown and AJC? Georgetown is a paragon of Catholic Jesuit higher education with a steadfast commitment to interreligious relations in general and Christian-Jewish relations in particular. The Berkley Center for Religion, Peace, and World Affairs, our key Georgetown partner in this endeavor, is dedicated to the principles which brought Nostra Aetate to life. AJC is a venerable Jewish institution about to celebrate its 120th year, dedicated to enhancing the well-being of the Jewish people and Israel, and to advance human rights and democratic values in the United States and around the world. Our renowned interreligious relations leadership is premised on the simple principle: the well-being of the Jewish people is inextricably linked to that of all peoples, which can only happen if we are in positive relationship with one another, if we take seriously the Torah principle that all human beings are created in the image of God. Nostra Aetate is not just about Christianity and Judaism. It is about Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and all, as the declaration says, that is true and holy in these religions. It is in that spirit that AJC has dedicated itself to bringing the spirit of 20th century achievements in Christian-Jewish relations to our work in Muslim-Jewish relations in the 21st century. Thus, today we will discuss Catholic-Jewish relations, and tomorrow, Catholic-Muslim and Catholic-Dharmic relations. A moment of deep gratitude. Thank you to our host and partner, Georgetown University. To you, Tom. To the other members of the senior leadership of this historic citadel of higher education, and most especially to Dr. John Borelli and Samuel Wagner of the Office of the President and the teams there and in the Berkley Center, many of whom I'm meeting for the first time in person today. We have become close friends in the more than a year we have been working on this conference. Our friendship has been especially a comfort in very challenging times for the Jewish people, for which we are grateful, especially to you, John, and how we have become good friends. And to all my AJC colleagues who helped to make this happen, none more than Dr. Ari Gordon, AJC's Director of Muslim-Jewish Relations, and with significant contribution by many others, including AJC Washington Regional Office Director Alan Ronkin. Thank you. Bruchim habayim. Blessed are those who have joined together today in friendship and open and honest deliberation. Welcome. It is my pleasure to invite Professor Ori Soltis and the first session panelists to take their seats on the stage. Thank you very much.